Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? By Dr. Seuss. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, ducky, you are really quite lucky. Some people are so much more, oh, ever so much more, oh, muchly much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bunglebudge Bridge that they're building across Boomer Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people you are lucky you are not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Guyate and got caught in that traffic on Zate Highway 8. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in Gazaire, with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Suppose, just suppose, you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thrum-dum-dum labrador apart. He will never get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the gore fits into the scrux or the snux on the snore. Yes, ducky, you are lucky you are not Herbie Hart, who has taken his thrum-dim-dum later apart. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Ally Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quickly growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in that hay is the puffliest pay of 2 dolikas a day, and Ally can't live on such pitiful pay. So he has to paint flagpoles on Sundays in groves. How lucky you are, you don't live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Biggs, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Biggs has his boorfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right, but his boorfin just seems to go shumply every night. It shumples in a heap, sadly needing repair. Biggs figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unshump it, and then the night air comes back and it shumples once again. So don't you feel blue? Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a boorfin that shumps. And while we are at it, consider the schloots, the crumple-horn, wet-footed, green-bearded schloots, whose tail is entailed with an unsolved knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you are lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a fabble. And boy, if your old wabble-fabble gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you are gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-daughter, he has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in an I and T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work at. Out west near Houghtalk, there's a Houcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, That bee didn't work any harder. No, much. So then somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another hotch watcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Well, the bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today, all the hotchers who live in Hotch are watching on watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a watchwalker, you're lucky, you see. And how fortunate you're not Professor Debris, who has spent the last 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish jocks how to read Javanese. And think of the poor puffing poodle horn players who have to parade down the poodle horn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Pooh Buckin. It's awful how often their poogles get broken. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hotto. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his grizz, and I think that, by golly, there probably is. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky, some people are muchly, oh ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't had a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You are a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not Farmer Flackenberg's 17th radish. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Ground, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town, in the ruins of Runk is rather run down. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock, left behind by mistake in the caverns of Knock. Thank goodness for all the things you are not. Thank goodness you are not something someone forgot and left all alone in some Perkish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. That's why I say, ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much more unlucky than you.